Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. This is your Manchester United versus Tottenham preview, but it's also some breaking news that's more depressing than that league table. Manchester United will not be signing Victor Gyökeres in the summer transfer window, according to The Athletic and Laurie Whitwell. It is considered unlikely that Gyökeres follows Amorim to Old Trafford, reports The Athletic and Laurie Whitwell. The Swedish international wants to join a Champions League club, and whilst that is still possible for Manchester United through the Europa League, it is expected that there'll be more appealing propositions for Gyökeres in the bidding. Also, United would be reluctant to commit that type of money to a player who will turn 27 in June. The club's strategy is to invest in younger signings. Sesko has been mentioned, and so has Liam Delap at Ipswich. So look, is this just more reality that's starting to come out? In the same article that mentions this from Laurie Whitwell, it also mentions Manchester United's PSR. It also mentions FFP. It also mentions that Man United owe £319 million in transfer fee instalments for players that are already here. Look, I think it's a depressant. I think it's a confusion. But I think it's a reality. On the one hand, we're being linked with £70 million centre-backs and wingers. And on the other hand, we can't pay £58 million for a 27-year-old, which I've got to say straight away, like Gyökeres literally is the best striker in the world for Ruben Amorim and his system because he's played it. So if we're turning away from that because he's 26 and he's going to be 27 in the summer and we don't want to pay £58 million, that is terrifying as to just how long this journey is going to be and how difficult it's going to be. Because what you're effectively saying is we want to buy another young striker. And my big issue with this story is that if we're not willing to pay £58 million for a 27-year-old striker that suits Amorim's system, then we truly are in trouble. But I think we're in trouble anyway, but we truly are in trouble. And I'll tell you why. £58 million for a striker is not a lot of money. 27 years of age, only just 27, is not old. And biggest of all, we need an experienced striker. So if we're not willing to buy a 27-year-old, you're not going to buy an experienced striker, which I think we all universally agree. So the Ineos strategy is not to buy a 27-year-old, 60 million striker who suits our system and is experienced. Well, I don't see how we're going to improve then, because if the issue with Xerxes and Rasmus and Obi Martin is that they're young and they need to be developed, and we're looking to buy another young one, we're just stocking young strikers. Like, we need an experienced striker, and we're not willing to pay £60 million for one because he's 27 in the summer. I mean, Harry Kane's into his early 30s. Lewandowski's well into his 30s. You're going to get 5 years of Gyökeres before he's 32. It's £60 million. I mean, it's a good deal. It's a very good deal. Or is it the fact that United know they're going to get snubbed, that they don't want to do the deal? Either way, it's a concern. If it's financial, if it's age-driven, how do you ever get an experienced striker? And if it's the fact that the player doesn't want to come to Man United, well, look at the league table. There's probably a bloody good reason for that. So it's more concerning. I mean, obviously, we're not going to go for Osimhen then, are we? Names that are being mentioned, like Sesko. I mean, look, United have admired Sesko for a while. I'm not going to say he's a bad striker. I think Arsenal were looking at him as well. Again, I think Sesko is probably going to be targeted by better clubs than Manchester United. So I'm not actually convinced that we'd end up with him. Liam Delap. I mean, Liam Delap just sort of hits me as cheap and young. And Ipswich will get relegated. So, what's next? Jonathan David because he's free. And I read this, and it might be very unfair, but I read this, and I'll be very interested to read the comments. I look at this, and I go, Man United are cheap. I look at this, and I go, this guy ticks every single box on not being too old, but experienced, suits the system really well, and is reasonably priced. He looks really, really good for United. And Amorim would obviously really, really like him. And he's older than Rasmus, and he's older than Xerxes, so this would work really, really well. And it looks to me like United have gone, yeah, that's out of our price range for what we want to do. Let's Barry bullshit it and say he's too old and too expensive. And I'm sorry, just 27 and 60 million and experienced, I mean, that's incredible to me that we would try and push that out there, that we want to go for Liam Delap, who, whilst he's done well at Ipswich, is massively unproven and is about to get relegated and has never played for a big club before. And I look at it and I go, I don't necessarily think that that's much of an improvement on what we've got already. And again, it looks like we can't just buy. I mean, somebody said it on the morning show. They're absolutely correct. Ineos's strategy publicly seems to be that they want to buy lots of young players. That's not going to work. Like, we have got to bring some experience in. Like, there has to be some players around 25, 26, 27 that come in, because we do need some people that are actually in their prime instead of everybody being in their development years. We absolutely need that. So it is concerning, but for me, the big red flag is always they don't want to spend 60 million on a 27-year-old. I mean, it's not even that much money. But, you know, it's the way of the world, and I don't think the way back for Man United is going to be a short one, if I'm being completely honest. I think it's going to be a long one. So get your comments in on that. Let's talk about the Spurs game, because we are here to preview that as well. Manchester United against Spurs on Sunday afternoon, away from home. Yeah, I mean, look, I can't really hype this. I mean, look, question for you. Give me your combined 11s. Spurs and Man United at full strength. What's your combined 11s for the two? I'll give you mine in a minute. Spurs' home record is 14th in the league. They've won 4, drawn 2 and lost 6. Our away record is 13th in the league. We've won 3, drawn 4 and lost 4. As you can see there, it's 14th against 13th. A win, I don't think a win even puts us into the top half of the table. I'm not actually confirming that. So we've got 29 points. We'd go to 32 points, which would put us, still in the bottom half, 2 points behind Brighton. So it makes for depressing reading where Manchester United are in the league at the moment. And I think that I'm starting to look at the league table now and go, as long as it's not possible for us to go down, which I don't think it is. I don't think Leicester are going to make 12 points on us. I don't get what the league's all about other than competitive pre-season, which is what we've said before. It's depressing. It really is. I just look forward to the cup games a lot more now. Having said that, it is a competitive game. It is an opportunity where you've got to lift yourself up and go, look, we still got the Europa League to try and win. We've still got the FA Cup to try and win. We've got to get European football. If the financial situation is bleak now, it'll be even worse if we don't have European football. So we need to do well in the cups, and we're not doing well. So a competitive game is an opportunity to develop, learn, and get better. And I think that this is the team I would certainly be going with. And I would be surprised if Amrin made many changes to that, if I'm being honest. You've got to get Dorgu on the left, put Delo on the right. We haven't got Martinez, and I don't really like the idea of Yoro playing left-sided centre-back with Dorgu, who is playing his first, Premier League game on the left-hand side if he plays there. So I just thought, well, instead of dropping a Mazraoui or Delo, why not put Mazraoui on the left side, because he's experienced and he does well, next to Dorgu, Maguire centre, De Ligt right, and Delo right wing back. Because we're very unlikely to play a winger away from home. Midfield, I would obviously go Agate. And I think one of the big things about this game is, and I've not forgotten it from the Leicester game, is all these people saying Mainoo's a 10, Mainoo's a 10. Maybe he will be a 10, but I think at the moment, Bruno is better as the 10 and Mainoo is better as the 8. Bruno, we need his creativity. Mainoo is better in the transition and he's better defensively. So I would swap Mainoo and Bruno over. Ahmad has to play, and then I'd go Xerxes up front. Garnacho probably deserves to play, but I sort of quite like the idea of him making an impact from the bench in this sort of a game, to be honest with you, and maybe starting him against Everton the following Saturday. So that's how I would line up. And, take your pick in relation to how this is going to go. Spurs are bloody dreadful. We're absolutely dreadful. It might end up actually being quite a good game because Spurs play quite a high line, and it might be an opportunity. It was interesting. I've seen a lot. I saw Roy Keane saying United would win 3-1. And it got me thinking about how you predict this game with any level of knowledge. I mean, we've all got a level of knowledge and we've got a big knowledge around our team, but I don't know how you predict this game. I really don't. In many ways, I hope it's the Europa League final, and I hope it's a bit of a look at each other. Obviously, they beat us back at our place because of that Bruno red card, but they dominated us anyway under Ten Hag. That was when Van der Ven just ran through the whole team, wasn't it? So they have got injuries at the back. We don't create many chances. I mean, it could be anything. This is what I mean. It could be 4-0 Spurs. It could be 3-1 us. It could be a boring 0-0. It literally could be anything. And I find it very hard to predict. And I find it very hard to be positive about it as well, because it's so different. It's so difficult to assess Manchester United at the moment, but I will say I'm going to go with a score draw. But it does feel like one of those games that if we lose it, you're sort of like, I'm not surprised, but where's the positivity in this? And if we win it, at least, I think I'm going to keep saying this, I'm going to keep banging this drum. Performance over results is really important. I would rather lose 4-3 and play really well and get robbed by VAR than win 1-0 and play exactly like we've played for the last 2 months. At some point, performance is really important, and that might be for next season, that might be to get us into Europe, but we've got to actually start putting performance in. And my message to the players would be, I don't know where you're getting this inability to do the basics. I don't see United fans booing you. I don't see United fans saying, you know, they shouldn't be being picked or sell them now, because the transfer window's not open. We're very realistic as a fan base that the problems at the club are high. People are being sacked. It's very, really hard to feel positive about the Ineos and the Glazers. So I don't see United fans sort of massively, there's an acceptance that we're not very good. And in that environment, the players really should just start delivering without fear, because it's insulting to themselves, but it's insulting to the fans that in this environment, it's almost, I detect that, it's too much pressure to play for Man United, but I don't think there is any pressure. Like, the league is gone. Like, we're not getting relegated and we're not going to get in the top half of the table at the moment. The cup games are going to be really important. And so these games are like, they're a bit of a free hit, really. I mean, obviously, if you get battered and embarrassed, you're going to get criticised. But the basics, like, please stop taking ages on the ball. Please make your passes. Please stop hitting loads of long balls. Please mark your men. Concentrate. Play the game. Like, the problem with the Leicester game is that it was sickening how bad it was, because it was so bad on the basics. Like, can we start to see some patterns of play? Can we start to see these wide players overlapping and putting crosses into the box? Just patterns of play, speed on the ball, the very basics that you all can do would be really, really nice to see, even if it's just for 10 minutes against Spurs and then maybe 20 minutes against Everton. But we've got to start building performance. I find it inexcusable that professional footballers of any level can't do the basics. And we can talk about tactics and Amrim's system when the players start doing the basics. And I want to start seeing that, because I think we deserve it. Get your comments in. What are your thoughts around the Gyökeres situation as well? I'm not surprised, by the way, by that. This story that we're not in for Gyökeres anymore. I'm just disgusted by it. But then again, the way we're being run at the moment, I'm not surprised. I mentioned Ineos and Nice, by the way. In the 4 years before Ineos took over Nice, they had better league finishers and they made more money in the transfer market. And since Ineos took over Nice, they've had spent loads of money, been really unsuccessful, loads of turmoil, and not finished as well in the league either. So I'm not surprised by anything that negative happens with the Glazers, and I don't think Ineos are filling themselves in glory either at the moment. So, yeah, it's just very confusing. We need an experienced striker. We need an experienced striker. We need an experienced striker. We're not going to spend £60 million on a 27-year-old. We want somebody younger. And you just sort of like go, the message. We need it. We need the best director of football in the country. We're getting Dan Ashworth. Oh, we've got rid of him because he's not. It's like they're so indecisive, and stability and confidence and communication are so important for football fans, and we're just being twisted and spun around all over the place. Combined 11 with Spurs. This is probably the hardest thing I've had to do of 2025. Goalkeeper. So many of these positions that take your pick. I'll go Onana in goal because Spurs don't really have a goalkeeper, do they, at the moment? Although many people would probably say that other guy's better. Porro right back. I mean, we haven't seen enough of Dorgu. And all right, go Udogie if he was fit. Van der Ven, De Ligt, and we're playing a 4 or what? We'll do a United system, so we'll play 3 centre backs: Van der Ven, De Ligt, and Maguire or Romero. I'm going to just go red tinted glasses, Maguire. Midfielders, I would still go Agate, and I think Basuma and Sarr have been really bad for Spurs this year. I do like Bentancur. I don't know whether him and that would be a Uruguayan connection, wouldn't it, in the midfield? Probably would go with those two for balance, actually. Striker, fucking hell. I mean, would you dare to put Tal up there? Solanke's not done that go. I mean, it's just so hard, isn't it? I'm going to put Tal up there, just for a laugh. And then the 2 in behind, definitely. I mean, they've not had great seasons, but I would say Ahmad, Son. Mate, that is the most depressing combined 11 I've ever done. Oh, God. Fair play if you did one yourself. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Great news. Everything's positive. Everything's super. Yeah, great stuff. Take care. Speak to you at 8 o'clock. Thanks for watching.